Why is Goblin Piledriver never sad? Because he has protection from the blues.
Before we get into today's game, I want to talk about the sponsors for my channel. Card Conduit is the best way to sell your unused Magic cards. Whether you've got a box of unsorted bulk, or a complete and alphabetized set, there's a great option for everyone. With a payout averaging 19% better than using any one buy list, and that's after fees are applied, you can rest assured you'll get the best bang for your buck. If you're a skeptic like me, their easy customer service and detailed reports make the whole interaction transparent and safe. And if you use the affiliate link in the description below, or the promo code MTGMUDSTA, you'll save 10% off their fees. And 401 Games, Canada's one-stop shop for trading cards, board games, and hobby supplies. Not to mention an easy-to-use and great online buy list. And if you use the promo code MTGMUDSTA, your first purchase of MTG Sealed and Singles will be 5% off. And Dragon Shield, the strongest sleeves for your strongest deck. So be sure to use the code MUDSTA or the affiliate link down below to save 5% on your next order. Hey gang, and welcome back. Today's patron shoutout goes to Wold King 2. Thanks for supporting me through Patreon. In today's game, Mathieu, Arja, and John have rejoined me, with Mathieu playing Nalia. He keeps Vault of Champions, Weathered Wayfarer, Timon of the Weaver, Black Market Connections, Dream Stealer, Akroma's Will, and a Swamp. I am playing my Indominus Rex deck, keeping Urborg Tomb of Yawgmoth, Temple of Malady, Rejuvenating Springs, Tainted Strike, Decisive Denial, Woodland Cemetery, and Vampiric Tutor. Arja is playing his Breena deck, keeping 2 Swamps, Secluded Steppe, Praetor's Grasp, Smuggler's Share, Dusk Legion Duelist, and Not Dead After All. Last but not least, John is playing Rona, and he keeps Spark Double, Encroaching Mycosynth, Mist Vault Bridge, Karn the Great Creator, an Island, a Swamp, and a Thought Vessel. Mathieu wins the die roll and starts us off. He draws and plays a Vault of Champions. He then pays 1 white for a Weathered Wayfarer and passes. I play a tapped Temple of Malady, scrying 1 and passing. Arja plays a tapped Secluded Steppe. John follows our example, playing a tapped Mist Vault Bridge. Mathieu plays a Fetid Heath, and then swings the Weathered Wayfarer at me, dealing 1 and passing. I play a Rejuvenating Springs and pass to Arja. Arja's got a Swamp for turn, and pays 2 for a Dusk Legion Duelist, passing to John after that. John draws and plays a Soul Ring, and then taps the Soul Ring for a Thought Vessel. He then plays an Island for turn and passes. Mathieu's got a Swamp, and he pays enough for a Dream Stealer. Going to combat, he pokes me with the Weathered Wayfarer again, and then passes. During his end step, I cast a Vampiric Tutor, losing 2, and going to find a card to put on top. My turn is quite quick though, as I draw the card I tutored for, play Wooded Foothills, crack it, and pass. Arja draws and plays a Swamp. He then casts Breena and goes to combat. He swings the Dusk Legion Duelist at Mathieu and draws a card off of the Breena trigger. He puts 2+1/+1 counters onto the Duelist, which draws him another card. Mathieu then takes 4. With nothing else, Arja passes. John draws and plays Seed of the Synod. He then taps enough for an Encroaching Mycosynth and passes turn. Mathieu draws but goes straight to combat. He swings the Dream Stealer at John for 1, and Arja puts 2 counters on his Dusk Legion Duelist, and Mathieu gets to draw a card. John then takes the hit and discards a card, and after combat, Mathieu casts a Black Market Connections. He then passes to me. I draw and play a Wooded Cemetery and pass to Arja. Arja's got a Reliquary Tower for turn, and he moves to combat. He swings Breena at John, and the Duelist goes at Mathieu, which gets him 2 Breena triggers. He puts counters on both of his creatures, and draws 2, plus draws an additional 1 for the Duelist trigger, having gotten counters put on him. John and Matt then take their hit, and after combat, Arja casts Dark Ritual, which he then uses to help cast an Orzhov Signet, and then a Smuggler's Share. He finishes up with Retribution of the Ancients, and passes to John. John draws and plays a Swamp. He casts a Commander Sphere, and then Karn the Great Creator. He upticks Karn to animate his Encroaching Mycosynth, and he holds back the temptation to draw off of Breena though, keeping back his attackers and passing turn. Mathieu draws and loses some life to make a treasure from the Black Market Connections, and then plays a Plains for turn. He casts a Mirror Entity, and he moves to combat. Mathieu then swings the Dream Stealer at Arja, and Arja responds by using Retribution of Ancients, removing some counters from his creature to kill it. With nothing else, Mathieu passes. I draw and play Urborg, and then cast Indominus Rex, discarding a Night Veil Predator to draw 3 after giving it Flying, Death Touch, and a Hexproof counter. I then pass turn. Arja's got a Temple of Silence which comes in tapped, and scries him 1. Going to combat, he swings Breena at John, and the Duelist goes at me. This gets him 2 Breena triggers, and he gets to draw from the Duelist because it gets counters on it, and then John and I take our hit. In his second main phase, Arja then casts a Smothering Tithe and passes to John. John draws and pays the 2 for his Tithe. He plays a Chief of Foundry, and then Mathieu activates the Weathered Wayfarer in the meantime, going to find a land. John then continues to uptick Karn, animating the Mycosynth again, and then passing turn. Mathieu draws and doesn't pay the 2, and then loses 3 life to make a Shapeshifter off the Black Market connections. He then plays an Oracle on Vec, and Timna the Weaver, and passes to me. I draw and pay the Tithe tax. I then play a Swamp for turn, and then cast Reanimate, bringing the Nightveil Predator back. I lose some life, and then move to combat. I swing Indominus Rex at Arja for 6, and since he can't block the flyer, he takes the hit. I then pass turn. Arja draws for turn and plays a Swamp. He goes to combat and swings a Duelist at Mathieu, and Breena goes at John. This is Arja once more drawing 3 cards again, as he gets 2 triggers from Breena and a Dusk Legion Duelist draw, and he keeps pumping his team. Mathieu chumps the Duelist with Timna, and John takes the hit to the face. After combat, Arja casts a Tragic Arrogance, and John responds by cracking the Commander Sphere, drawing a card, and paying the 2 for the Tithe. I don't want to lose my board though, so I cast a Fierce Guardianship to counter it, and with nothing else, Arja passes turn. John draws and pays for his Tithe trigger. Once more he upticks Karn, but this time takes out Arja's treasure token. He then plays a Contentious Plan, proliferating and drawing a card. John then plays a Swamp for turn, and passes. Mathieu draws and once more pays 3 life to make a Shapeshifter token. He then casts Nalia, and goes to combat. This has Arja trying to strike a deal with Mathieu to stop a potential attack, but Mathieu disagrees, and Arja is forced to use the Retribution of Ancients to take out Nalia before her trigger goes on the stack. Still in his main phase, Mathieu then casts a Leonin Arbiter, and he then activates his Oracle on Vect, making Arja declare that both his creatures are attacking the next time he can, and with nothing else, Mathieu passes. I go to combat, and swing Indominus Rex at John, drawing a card off of Breena, and paying the 2 so that Arja doesn't get a treasure. After that, I pass, then Arja draws a card off the Smuggler's Share. Arja draws and plays a Plains. He then goes to combat and swings a Duelist at Mathieu, and Breena once more goes at John. Mathieu chumps with a Leonin Arbiter, and John takes the hit again, with Arja once more drawing 3. In his second main phase, Arja then plays a White Plume Adventurer, and he takes the initiative. He goes to find a basic, and then casts a Mindblade Renderer, and passes. John draws and gives Arja a treasure token. John then casts Ugin, and down takes him for 5 to wipe away most of the board. John then swings the Chief of Foundry at Arja. Arja takes the hit, but flashes in an Archivist of Ogma with the initiative trigger on the stack, meaning he'll get to gain a life and draw a card as John goes to find a basic. Mathieu draws and plays a Plains. Going to combat, he takes out Ugin with his 2 Shapeshifters, and then recasts Nalia and passes to me. I just draw, play a Fire Shrieker, and pass. Arja's got a Swamp for turn, and he recasts Breena, and he goes to combat. He swings the Archivist at Mathieu, who blocks with his team. And moving to blocks, Mathieu stops it with both of his creatures, and he casts a Flawless Maneuver to protect them. Arja responds by casting Not Dead After All, which saves his Archivist, and moving to his second main phase, he then casts a Dark Confidant, and passes. John scries 2 as he moves from the initiative further into the Undercity, and he draws for turn. He plays a Swamp, and then casts Bolas' Citadel, but I respond with an offer you can't refuse. This gets countered, and John gets 2 treasure tokens. John then upticks Karn, destroying one of Arja's treasures. After that, John then downticks Karn to get Encroaching Mycosynth back, and then replays the Encroaching Mycosynth, and passes turn. Mathieu draws, and plays a High Priest of Penance. He goes to combat, which triggers Nalia, and he swings a Shapeshifter at Arja. Arja takes the 4. In his second main phase, Mathieu then plays Assault Intercessor, and he passes to me. I draw, and cast Indominus Rex, discarding a Nighthawk Scavenger as I do, drawing 3 cards as I give it 3 ability counters. I then pass to Arja. Arja reveals an Infernal Grasp off the Dark Confidant, losing some life, and then draws for turn. Going to combat, he swings Breena at Mathieu, and the Confidant goes at me. Arja stacks his Breena triggers on Breena, and we then move to blocks, and I block the Dark Confidant while Mathieu takes 5. In his post-combat main phase, Arja then plays a Plains for turn, and he casts Toxic Deluge, paying 6 life into it. I respond by casting Stubborn Denial to counter it, and once that's done, Arja follows up with a Praetor's Grasp and targets Mathieu. He goes into Mathieu's library, grabbing his copy of Toxic Deluge, casting it again, and paying 6 life for it. This one finally sticks, and Arja wipes the board, and then passes turn. John continues with the initiative, making a treasure token, and then drawing for turn. He then casts Rona, and exiles Ugin with her, and then casts Ugin again. He then downticks Ugin for 3, getting rid of most of the board. He then upticks Karn once more to take out one of Arja's treasures, and passes turn. Mathieu draws and plays a Seasoned Dungeoneer, taking the initiative and going to find a swamp. He then plays the swamp, and passes to me. I draw, and play a forest, and recast Indominus Rex. I discard Ulamog and the Weeping Angel, getting to draw 3 cards as I put 3 ability counters onto him. I then pass turn. Arja draws and plays an Exotic Orchard. He then plays Animate Dead on Ulamog, but I respond with another counterspell in Force of Will this time. Arja then settles for a smaller Reanimate target with an Unearth on his Dark Confidant, and then plays Mother of Runes and passes. John draws and plays a Treasure Vault. He then casts Spark Double and targets Ugin. He then downticks the new Ugin for 5 to wipe away the board. John then uses his original Ugin to shoot Arja for 3 in the face. He then casts Tezzeret Artifice Master, and uses his 0 ability to draw 2. John then follows up by upticking Karn, this time taking out Mathieu's treasure, and he then casts Fabricate, which, because of the Mycosynth, allows him to tutor for Tezzeret Master of the Bridge, and puts it to his hand. With nothing else, he passes. Mathieu chooses to go to the Forge off the Undercity, which doesn't add anything to his current board, and then draws for turn. He just recasts Nalia, and passes. I draw, and just pass after that. Arja's turn has him playing Gix Yawgmoth Praetor, which he then activates and targets John, discarding his 12 cards from hand, and gets to look at John's top 12. Arja gets to hit a Grand Architect, Empowered Auto-Generator, Tikthula, Rings of Brighthearth, and an Ichor Moon Gauntlet, and some other cards which won't do anything for him, which we're not going to talk about. Resigned to his fate, Arja then passes turn. John draws and casts the Tezzeret Master of the Bridge. He then upticks him, draining us all for 12 thanks to the encroaching Mycosynth. Arja is taken out, and John continues to activate his Planeswalkers, drawing 2 off the other Tezzeret, and then downticking Karn to get the Chain Veil back and puts it to hand. He then casts the Chain Veil, and once that's out, upticks both of his Ugins to take out Mathieu, and passes to me. I draw and cast a Sanguine Spy, and then a Gurmag Swiftwing. Moving to combat, I swing the Swiftwing at the Master of Bridge to send a message, but after that, scoop it up in the face of a board of lethal Planewalker activations, and know when I'm beat. Game review time. This game was 50 minutes and 29 seconds. I really enjoy Arja's Breena deck. It provides incentive to his opponents to attack other opponents while still simultaneously pumping his board and drawing him cards. I think that's a fun mechanic, and I'm kinda sad that I didn't quite catch on to it when I revealed the deck way back when. I think it's pretty cool, and it worked really well with that Legion, drawing him a bunch of cards, and making his creatures pretty big. I'll admit I fully didn't understand what exactly John was trying to do with his Rona deck until it was too late, and by that point that Mycosynth encroachment and the Tezzeret made things way too dangerous. I think Mathieu's Nalia deck is deceptively powerful, but ultimately can sometimes just fizzle out. He starts off really strong, and if he's got a full party, his board gets very scary. Plus he runs a decent amount of protection, meaning that even board wipes and removals probably aren't enough. Unfortunately, when 3 people gang up on you, things don't always go your way, and it can be a real struggle to fight against that many people. Indominus Rex is a lot of fun. As I've learned how to play it properly, it's gotten even funner, but it's got the same kind of problem that a lot of Voltron-based commanders have, which is you put all of your eggs into one basket. Even if he had hexproof and indestructible, if people had blockers, I wasn't getting through, and it can just really slow you down. Taking out only one opponent at a time while still having 2 opponents knowing what's coming is really not where I want to be, so it might be time to switch up my Sultai commander. This video wouldn't be possible without the help from my sponsors, but it definitely wouldn't be possible without the help from you, the viewers, and my patrons. So I just want to say thank you for watching, and to remember, friends are just opponents you haven't eliminated yet.